Okay, I want to tell you about another very interesting, very new actually for this program, a new feature that I think is possibly going to help you in the future. I'm going to start by going to an empty project for this, and I'm going to, instead of doing what we always normally do and go to software instrument, I'm going to go to track, and I'm going to go to new track, and instead of going to this one or audio, we're going to actually use drummer for this. So go to drummer, click create. And this is basically a virtual drummer. It's actually a lot of fun. I mean, it has a lot of practical use, but it's just kind of fun to play around with, honestly. So I'm gonna just kind of demonstrate right now. So on the bottom, you have these like virtual drummers, and they have like a little avatar and everything. Depending if you upgraded or if you installed all the presets and stuff, you might have different drummers. But this is the one they always give you, regardless of if you installed all the presets. So this is Kyle. And first, just go ahead and click the cycle tool and extend it so you can hear everything in one shot. And then press spacebar. So as you can already hear, it sounds like pretty professional quality drums, which is really nice, especially if you're trying to do something that sounds a little bit more realistic. It's not just like electronic beats and stuff all the time. If you go over to the second section, you'll see it actually changes. Okay, so that's awesome. There's like two really cool drum loops to work with. But here's where it gets really interesting. So this kind of, I guess you call it like a grid over here. You can play with the kind of like the fine tunings of your loop, and it kind of changes in real time. It's really, really interesting. So for instance, this, I guess you would call it, I'm not really a math guy, but this I guess you would call it the axis, loud and soft. So if it's higher up on this axis, it's louder. And you can even see, I just changed it to louder, and you can even see the waves got a little bit louder. It got a little bit bigger. And if you go to soft, the opposite happens. And now you're going to see it's going to be way softer. At the same time, this axis over here, I guess, is the x-axis. I guess somebody can make fun of me about that if I messed it up. But I guess this is the x-axis. To the right, it's a more complex drum pattern, and to the left, it's a simple pattern. So you can do simple and loud in this spectrum over here. You can do complex and soft. So it gives you a lot of really cool options. As you can see right now, I'm moving around, and you can see that the wave is just changing everywhere I'm going. So I'll just demonstrate for a little bit, just to show you what kind of stuff is possible with this. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit for this. Okay, so what's this stuff over here? The presets. These are like the actual, like the bones of the beat. Like, I mean, you could change certain things about it over here, but this is like the actual beat itself. So, for example, if you put it in the middle to get a sense of the actual default beat, and you change it to, for instance, new kicks will be a very different drum beat than the first one we just listened to. Okay, so you can play around with these. I'm not going to demonstrate all of them, but they're all definitely worth checking out. And then over here, you have different elements of your drum kit that you can use. It's really really a lot of fun. Like I said, you can play around with this. I could probably play around with this for like half an hour to an hour before I'm done. Um, so over here you have tambourines, you have maracas, and you have like hand clapping. And then over here you can even like hand choose, like hand pick the cymbals you're using and the hi-hats and how much of it. The higher number, the more the hi-hats used. The higher number for the same thing over here for kick and snare, it's the more it's used. So it's a lot of possibilities and combinations you can do with this. It's really fun. Then fills. Fills are basically like if you're playing the drums and somebody kind of just in between beats like does like a little extra something to kind of give it a little extra flair for the drum beat. That's fills. For example, if I'm playing this, so that little part right there with the snare drum, that was like a fill. Typically, I think most drummers would agree that you don't want to do too much fill because it kind of gets to be a little like obnoxious and like kind of overshadows the rest of the band. But it's up to you. You can play around with it, and I think sometimes less is more in that case with the fills. And then swing, it kind of gives your beat more of a 6/8 timing, which means kind of got more of a sway to it when you hear it. So for example, I'll keep the fills to like moderate level, and I'll go to swing. Okay, so that's a basic overview of all the really cool things you can do with the virtual drummer. I definitely recommend checking it out for your projects or just for fun because I'm having a blast doing this. Actually, yeah, I actually show my students a lot of the stuff. It's a lot of fun. So enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments or in the discussion.